Hello, my name is Francesca. I'm the Consumer Training Lead and Content Manager for AGS, and I'm here to help you learn more about using your AGS 360 tools. Today, I will be providing you with a step-by-step overview of how to use the Economic Impact Assessment Toolkit of the AGS 360 platform. This toolkit is designed to help you conduct an economic impact assessment for a project. It includes several time-saving auto-calculating columns for things like net impact values, ratio of economic impact to total investment, and more. We will be covering both the input template and the analytics dashboard in this tutorial. When you log into AGS 360 for the first time after subscribing, you will land on the main dashboard page. This main dashboard is your command central, where you can access all projects and all toolkits in your account per your permission levels. You can find a tutorial on the main dashboard on our tutorials page. To get started, we will visit a project homepage to access the Economic Assessment Toolkit inside that project. I'll hover over the project homepage's link in the top menu, and I'll click the Agile Transformation project. Now I'm on the home page of my project. From here, I'll click on the Economic Impact Assessment Toolkit. Let's review the options you see here. First, we have the 360 Analytics dashboard. This is where you can see your data come to life and tell the story of your impact assessment activities. This provides the reporting for you to share with others and gain insights from. Next, we have the template. This is where you'll be working the most. It's for inputting all your economic assessment facts and figures. All of our toolkits have additional features and guides. You'll see one reflected in the next button for a step-by-step guide. This brings you to a complete overview of tips and best practices for conducting an economic impact assessment. It includes the definitions of direct, indirect, and induced impacts, a description of economic output and value adds, and other informative guidance. Next is a link to our tutorials page. This is where you can find helpful video tutorials on this toolkit and other areas of the AGS 360 platform. In addition to this Economic Impact Assessment Toolkit, AGS also has assessment toolkits for social impacts, data privacy impacts, and other tools. The Which Toolkit Should You Use link provides you with descriptions of each of those other impact assessment toolkits. Now let's review the Economic Impact Assessment template. When you first land on your Economic Assessment template, after you've signed up for an account, it will be blank as you haven't entered any data yet. I've added some sample data to this one. I'll first go through a brief overview of your main template navigation options. I'm not going to go into detail on the top navigation because we have a separate tutorial video that covers template navigation, column customization, and more. I urge you to watch that after this video if you haven't already. You can find it at the tutorials link that we just reviewed. This menu is the one you will actively use inside each template for customization, uploading data, and other activities. Project Home will take you back to the project's home page. Import data allows you to choose from two easy import options. Option A, downloading a template to use, adding your data to it, and re-uploading the template. Or Option B, which allows you to map columns from any spreadsheet you may have to the cloud template. 360 Interactive Report takes you to your Analytics dashboard reports. We'll be reviewing those in this tutorial. Sample Template takes you to your sample data page. This is helpful to use as a reference to see the types of details you may want to capture in the template. Modify Columns allows you to add, delete, hide, and rearrange columns to customize your template. Export Data will export all the information in your template to an Excel file. Once you begin entering data into the template, then under the More link, you'll see a Clear All Data option. Only use this if you want to clear all data from your template. Now we'll go through each of the columns on this Economic Impact Assessment template. You'll enter your project name in the first column. Then you'll enter the project description. Next, you can choose from the drop-down the area type impacted. You can edit the options in this drop-down to suit your needs by using the Edit Enter drop-down link above the column. The default entries for area type impacted are neighborhood, city, county, state, region, country, industry, group, and other. You can edit these options, delete entries, and add your own entries. You can also change the background and text colors. If you're doing an economic impact assessment where you want to show the different costs and benefits for a specific area or group, then you should include each on its own row. You'll see here that I've separated city, county, and industry, so I can show the cost and benefit for each area. Be sure that all your numeric entries only include the data for that particular area on that row. Next, you'll enter the name of the area or group. In the next column, you'll include the population for the impacted area. If this or any other columns aren't applicable to your assessment, you can hide them by unchecking the box next to their name in the Modify Columns window. In the Project Funding Sources column, you can include funding information for the project. Now we're getting into some of the monetary columns. The next four columns will all break down the spending for the project. These will be calculated by row into your total project investment. In the first, you will input your spending on hired personnel. Next, project spending on contractors for each area. Then you'll enter spending on equipment or supplies. If there is other spending related to the project that doesn't fit in these three categories, you can enter it into the Project Spending Other column. As a reminder, You want to put only those spending dollars on each line item that are attributed to that area type or group. You'll see that the area type for my first row does not have any additional project spending in the other column, while my other two area types do. Next is one of the time-saving auto-calculating columns in the template, your project investment amount total. This column is calculated for you automatically from the 4 spending columns. There are several columns like this that do the calculations for you, making it easy for you to make adjustments and then have your economic assessment totals updated instantly. If you'd like to show the investment total between direct, indirect, and induced impacts, you can enter those totals in these next 3 columns. These 3 columns should equal the total investment column. You can find examples of what direct, indirect, and induced impacts would be by reviewing the step-by-step guide for this toolkit. A big part of the economic impact assessment is to monetize the value added to a community, area, group, or industry due to a project or event. A value added might be bringing in tourism dollars to the area that did not have that benefit prior to the project. In this next column, give a description of the value added you are monetizing for the project. Then you will add the description of the value added assumptions. In other words, how did you monetize that value added item? As an example, say that one of your value adds for a 4-day festival is that it brings more business to the local food and drink establishments. You could estimate the average per-day sales for those establishments, and then estimate based on past events the increase. Say it was 600% during the days of the festival. Put these types of assumptions in this column. If your project is going to impact household earnings in the area, such as either causing jobs to be lost or bringing jobs to the area, then you can add a baseline year for household earnings in that area in the next column. Then you'll add the baseline household earnings. This will usually be an annual figure. Now we get into the positive monetary values. In the next 4 columns, you'll enter dollar figures for the positives that the project is bringing to the impacted area types. First, you'll put in the positive economic output. An example of this would be the money the project paid to contractors in the area. That's money that the project is putting directly into the community. Next, you'll take the positive impact a step further and add the positive regional value added figure. An example of this would be the monetization of those value adds, such as the increase in retail sales. It could also include the ingredients for the additional food and drinks that those local restaurants are buying from suppliers in the region due to the increase in their business. Next, you'll add any positive household earnings. For example, if a large sports complex is coming to a town permanently, it may raise the average household earnings of the city or county due to bringing higher paying jobs to the area. That increase beyond the baseline would be your positive household earnings. That's why it's helpful to include your baseline earnings and the baseline earning year in the columns that we reviewed a few minutes ago. In the last positive input column, you'll add the number of jobs that this project is bringing to the area type. This is a count of the jobs being added, not the value of the job. Job value will be entered later. Now that you've put in your positive figures, you'll be adding in the negative figures in the next 4 columns. Add the negative economic output. This would be if a project were causing some type of monetary loss to the area, such as a road construction project that stopped people from eating downtown as usual. The loss of sales by those restaurants would be a negative economic output. Then go one step out and put in the negative regional value added. Next would be the negative household earnings. For example, if a project were hurting the overall average earnings in an area by bringing lower paying jobs than it was used to, you would input the reduction expected from the baseline household earnings from the area in this column. Then enter the negative jobs. In other words, the number of jobs expected to be lost in the area as a result of the project. All the net columns will calculate for you based on the positives and negatives that you input. You'll see negative numbers called out in red. The template will calculate net economic output, net regional value added, net household earnings impact, and net jobs benefit by taking your positives and deducting your negatives. In the monetary value of net jobs benefit, you will attach a dollar figure to the jobs. This is where you monetize the jobs benefit, or if jobs were lost, the reduction of jobs. For example, if your project is adding a net of 85 permanent sports complex staff to a city, and you estimate those jobs averaging 60,000 per year, you would multiply 60,000 by 85 and enter that into this monetary value net jobs column. The total impact value will take all those net figures into consideration, and instead of using the count of jobs, it uses the dollar figure for the net value of jobs. That's why it's very important to fill out the monetary value of net jobs benefit column. And of course, you can see this column is also self-calculating. You've most likely noticed that all the self-calculating columns have a shaded background. Another helpful column that calculates for you in the economic assessment template is the ratio of economic impact to total investment. This calculation takes the total impact value and divides it by the total investment. If this were at 1.0, that would mean the project broke even. There was no loss, but also no monetary benefit. Thus, most project owners like to see this as a positive value above 1. For example, a value of 2.95 means that for the impacted area listed in this row, the project is bringing a value well above what was invested, one that's nearly 3 times the investment amount. The last column on the template is for you to add any additional notes about your assessment. Now that we've reviewed the template, let's take a look at the analytics reporting. This is where you will see your figures for the entire project with these 3 area rows added together. To get to our analytics, we'll click 360 Interactive Report in the submenu. Now we're on our Interactive Reports dashboard for the Economic Impact Assessment Toolkit. When you first visit the Analytics dashboard, if you haven't entered any data into your assessment template yet, it will be blank until you've entered some. Before we begin looking at your reports, I'll give you a brief overview of your navigation options. Project Home, will take you back to the project's homepage. 360 Sample Analytics takes you to a reporting dashboard populated with sample data. This is helpful to review when you first get started, to see the types of reporting your data will generate once entered. Export Report will export all your reports into a comprehensive and easy-to-share PDF file. The Refresh Analytics link will refresh the page to pick up any data that may have changed in the template since you've opened the interactive reporting dashboard. Now let's start looking at our reports. In the first report section, you'll see a breakdown of the different economic area types. The number of projects listed in your template for those areas, the total population of each one, and the total sum of project investment amounts in each area. The next report provides you with all your totals for the project. The total project investments, and the breakdown of the total between direct, indirect, and induced. Scrolling to the right is a bar chart visualization of your investment amounts, separated into direct, indirect, and induced impacts. In the next tables, you have a readout of all your positive project values, negative values, and net values. Included will be the economic output, regional value added, net jobs, household earnings, and the monetization of your net jobs benefit. The next report totals all your project spending. Under Additional Reports, you'll see the total impacted value of the project and your average ratio of economic impact to total investment. These figures combine all the area type rows that you've entered into your template. The final report on the dashboard is a detailed analysis report that provides you with all your totals from the assessment by each area type impacted. The Economic Impact Assessment Toolkit is designed to take all your monetary impacts and do all the heavy lifting on the calculations for you, to provide you with up-to-the-minute reporting on your assessment with much less time and effort than it would take for you to do those yourself. As a reminder, the step-by-step guide for this toolkit is extremely informative, especially if you're new to doing economic impact assessments, so I highly recommend reviewing that. And that concludes this tutorial on the Economic Impact Assessment Toolkit in AGS 360. You can find more AGS tutorials by using the Boost Your Knowledge link in the menu to visit our tutorials page. As always, please feel free to reach out to us with questions anytime. Thanks for visiting AGS. Have a wonderful day.